You remember the driveway watch. Not the impatient, where's my Uber kind of waiting we do now. I'm talking about the real kind. The kind where you stood at a window, watching a dark driveway, because your friend said they'd be there at 6. It's 6:15, then 6:30. The sun is dipping, casting long orange shadows across the wood-paneled walls, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. No text, no share my location, no way to know if they're 5 minutes away or if they've forgotten you exist. You couldn't even call their house because if they were on their way, nobody would be there to pick up the phone. You just stood there. You sat with the silence. You counted the bricks on the house across the street. You thought until your brain ran out of things to think about. And somehow, the world didn't end. If you grew up like that, if you were born in that lightning bolt window between 1976 and 1985, there is a reason you move through the modern world differently than almost everyone around you. It's not just that you're old school. It's not that you're bad with technology. It's something much deeper, sitting at the very center of your nervous system. If you belong to this specific group, something about you was never fully explained. Until now. You aren't just a bridge between generations. You are a biological anomaly. You are the only group of humans in history to have a fully analog childhood and a fully digital adulthood. You see, every generation gets a box. Boomers, Gen X, Millennials. They have clean edges and shared soundtracks. But if you were born during those 10 years, you don't fit in the box. You're not quite Gen X. You didn't come of age with a sense of total, cynical detachment. But you're definitely not a millennial also. You didn't grow up with the internet already waiting for you like a shiny, pre-installed toy. You exist in the seam. Some researchers call you the Oregon Trail generation. You remember that game? The green text on the black screen? You had to navigate uncertainty with limited supplies and no map, trusting your gut, because there was no Google to tell you what came next. That wasn't just a computer game. It was a rehearsal for your entire life. You were trained for a world of physical reality and slow moves, only to be pushed into a world of digital abstraction right as you were becoming adults. What that did to your brain wasn't a cultural shift. It was a neurological earthquake. Think of your mind as a house. Between the ages of 12 and 22, your brain goes through its final construction phase. You were building the foundation of your reality. For you, that foundation was built entirely in the analog world. In that world, information had weight. It had a physical location. If you wanted to know something, you went to a library. You flipped through a card catalog. You found a neighbor who actually owned the book you needed. Presence was proof. If someone showed up at the park at 2 p.m., they meant it. If they didn't, they didn't. You learned that silence was the default setting of the universe. You learned that being alone didn't mean being lonely. It just meant being present with yourself. Then, right as you were putting the roof on that house, the world changed the blueprint. Email, cell phones, broadband, social media. It all hit in a 5-year burst, right as you were entering the workforce. Your brain didn't grow up inside the internet. You had to retrofit it. You are running 2 completely different operating systems on a single processor. OS 1 runs on patience, presence, and the belief that things take time. OS 2 runs on speed, distraction, and the demand for instant gratification. Most days, you can feel the heat coming off the processor as these 2 systems fight for control. That exhaustion you feel at 4 p.m., it's not your job. It's the internal translation your brain has to do every second you're staring at a screen. Here's the thought you've had 1,000 times but never quite said out loud. You secretly miss being unreachable. I don't mean you want to live in a tent. I mean you miss the right to be away. You remember what it felt like to walk out your front door in 1998 and genuinely disappear for 4 hours. No pings, no Slack messages from your boss, no family group chats blowing up. The world had no claim on your attention until you walked back through your own front door and checked the blinking red light on your answering machine. That wasn't being lonely. That was being a sovereign human being. Your body still remembers that feeling of total privacy, which is why when your phone buzzes today, it doesn't just feel like a notification. It feels like a violation. It feels like someone tapped you in the middle of a private thought. Younger generations don't miss it because they never had it. They were born into the always-on surveillance. To them, the blue dot on the map is safety. To you, it's a leash. You're mourning a freedom that nobody else even remembers. But there's a darker side to the seam, the timing of when the floor dropped out. You entered the job market right around the dot-com bust. You were getting your first apartments just as the first digital bubble burst. You rebuilt. You played by the old world rules of loyalty and grit. And then 2008 happened. Financial instability during your early career leaves a mark on your psychology that never fully fades. It's why you have an emergency fund that never feels large enough. It's why you build a backup plan for your backup plan, even when everything looks fine. That's not anxiety, it's muscle memory. And long before that instability, something else was being built. Boredom was your first research lab. You spent hundreds of hours in it, staring at ceilings, riding bikes to the end of the neighborhood, reading the same cereal box again and again. Those hours built deep focus. They built the ability to sit with a problem until it cracked open. Today, if the world gets bored for 10 seconds, it reaches for the digital pacifier. It feeds the brain dopamine to stop the thinking process. But you have analog depth. It's why you get frustrated when a meeting feels shallow. It's why you get annoyed when someone gives up on a task because the answer wasn't on the first page of Google. It's not that you're a hater. It's that you physically know what 30 minutes of deep focus feels like. You know that the best things in life aren't found in a search bar. They're built in the silence. And because you can navigate both worlds, you've become the invisible translator. In any room, you are the person who understands the older colleague who wants process, and the younger intern who wants speed. You bridge the gap between the generation that fears technology and the generation that is consumed by it. You remember when the computer was a destination, a thing you sat down at and then walked away from, rather than a companion that follows you into your bedroom. The world is getting faster and more fragmented. The gap between speed and depth is becoming a canyon that is swallowing people whole. The people who know how to hold both, who understand how to lay a brick foundation while building a glass skyscraper, are becoming the most valuable people on the planet. You weren't born too early or too late. You got the seam. Most people got a world. You got the only map that still works. You've lived through the end of one version of humanity and the birth of another. You watched the world end without an announcement, and a new one begin without a manual. You are the bridge, and the bridge is the only thing keeping the two worlds from drifting apart. So the next time you feel that quiet, heavy exhaustion, remember, it's not because you're failing. It's because you're carrying two lifetimes in one. You are the guardians of the seam. And if you're sitting there thinking, is that why I feel so burnt out? You aren't imagining it. There's a specific psychological reason why our group hit the wall before anyone else noticed. I did a video on that Xennial burnout right here, and it might be the most important thing you watch today. Or, if you want to understand the strange tug of war happening inside you, how you can have a Gen X brain but a millennial heart, check out this video next. Because the more we understand the map we were given, the easier it is to navigate the world we're in. Take a breath, you're doing better than you think, and as always, you matter.